Thank you for that too. Kathleen, Director Kathleen's not here. She's on vacation, and Deborah has her proxy. With that, we'll move to the approval of the minutes. The regular session last month, February 27th? No, that's not right. Yeah, our last session. Regular meeting, February 27th. Is that right? Is that date right? It is March. I'm wanting April. So,
I second it.
thank you, thank you. Any conversation on those or questions? All in favor? Thank you. Now we're into March. March 20th, the work session. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, JB. Any questions, corrections, or anything on those? No? All in favor? 9-0. All right, on to joint advisory. Robert? Rec.
Evening all. Keep in mind some of these things may have changed since our meeting. We'll cover those as we go. Current business, Tom Judson provided the gun range update, and John provided some operational details. New business, Roland Neville reported that the animal shelter has asked to hold its 20th annual Wiener race at the Birchdale Trail South on October 11th with a contingent weather delay day of October 12th. The committee approved unanimously this request. Staff reports, Tom reported that there will be a forum for the candidates running for the POA board. 4 folks are running for 3 spots, and as stated prior, that's already passed. That forum was held on March 18th. Rick Eccles reported that the Norwood Lake siphon off and the boat ramp will be lengthened and widened. The Rangers had 965 contacts in February. That's down from January contacts and down from February of 2024. 2 open grounds maintenance positions have been filled. Brittany was down 21 inches. Loch Lomond will have trout stocking shortly. Dredging at London and Granton will occur after the equipment is moved from the gun range. We'll have a grass carp catching contest. These were introduced to control the invasive weed, but now that this work is done, we need to get the carp out. And they're getting rather large. I can see them from my place. We're now entering John reported that we're now entering the busy trap season, including tournaments. We have a new POS system for the ranges. February 2025 usage was the same as January 2025, despite losing the 2 days to weather. Trey Anson reported for the trails that usage is up 16% from January 2024, but down from February 2024. 2024 weather was better, so I guess that has an impact. Work on the back 40 walkway is done. The Lancashire Tunnel will be fixed. On the top, one of the top Arkansas Trail maintenance organizations, FAST, F-A-S-T, held its board meeting at the BVCC for the first time, and they'll revisit us in June. That is a big deal. The Trailblazers organization has hired a new volunteer coordinator as well. And in the interests of time, I will not cover all the amenity reports. That there were nothing outstanding in any of the amenity reports, but they're available online in the meeting minutes. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Robert. Tom, you got lakes?
Lakes report, 60,000 threadfin shad will be stocked in Loch Lomond in March. This is being done to improve forage fish population, which will result in better fishing conditions for bass, etc. Permits for all, the drawdown on Lake Norwood is nearing completion and will be allowed to begin refilling in April, weather contingent. During the drawdown, the boat ramp was widened by 2 feet and lengthened by 8 feet. In addition, fish habitat was placed throughout the lake. Grass carp roundup has begun with participants eligible for a $100 drawing, which will be done monthly through October. And that is the Lakes report for the month.
Thanks, Tom. Ms. Ruth, golf?
Okay, we'll start with Darrell Malton, Director of Golf Operations. February was an extremely cold month with snow and ice and fell in about 7+ inches and impacted the rounds that were closed for 12 days, so that makes a big difference. With the overnight low temperatures, it took time for the snow to melt in the shady areas. Range buckets are down due to the closure of Tanya Creek Practice Facility for its remodel. Rounds ended at 5,544 for the month. They were down by 4,395 because of closed days. Year to date rounds ended at 8,105, down from 4,894, which is the same reason. Moving over to Graham Kornmeyers, Director of Golf Maintenance. We've had stretches of very cold weather this winter. Luckily, we have snow to act as a cover for all the major cold stretches. He liked the snow. And hopeful that we have minimal winter kill issues in the spring, we will need to wait to confirmation on this after the Bermuda grass resumes to grow. Country Club and Dogwood greens have been aerated for the spring. We are finishing up applying pre-emerge and herbicides application to all golf courses, tees, fairways, and roughs this month for the spring and summer weeds. We have fertilized applications scheduled for the beginning of late March and throughout April that should hasten spring green up and lead to better playing conditions. Tanya Creek, the autonomous mowers and pickers have been installed and final setup has been complete. We will be adding sod to areas around the building that are currently ryegrass in April, once it is due the final grade in March. And no, it is not open just yet, but it was coming soon. Tanya Creek. Highlands Springing, fascinating. There were more than 151 bales that they used, and we're talking bales, we're not talking small ones, of grass, turf, to put on, and they did 51 acres. They went 12 days straight of 12-hour days, and they worked hard, and I went out a couple times and checked it out just to see how fascinating it really was, and it was every bit as much. They were very pleased with it. It went down well. It's starting to pick up just a little bit, so it is taking. We need rain. Yes. Even though they're watering, we need rain. Rain is best for all. So it is, but we thank everybody that worked hard on it because they've gone above and beyond to help the situation and get it ready. Because of the fact that the Highlands will be closed, Alex reported on the tournament rounds, and there will be fewer tournaments this year because of the course not available, and other courses will need for players as they go. So watch out for that. Be patient this summer. It's going to look nice. It's going to be nice, but it's going to be crowded for a while. So patience are asked for. So, any questions? Comments? Warm weather would be nice.
April would be, that's good. Thanks, Ruth, and I was out a couple times, and of course live on the course too, but the thing that I liked and very much appreciated is there were maintenance from all the golf courses that came and helped Greg and his staff at various times, and they worked their tails off. They absolutely did, so it's gonna be cool.
And we're gonna have a appreciation luncheon for everybody that was involved. We're really pleased with the crew, how hard they would work. Greg just, my God, the number of hours that he put in, just very impressive, hard work, and we very much appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Beth, financials.
You might wonder why I have the snow theme when it's like 80 degrees outside and it's spring. Well, because unfortunately, the theme in February was snow and winter. So that's the theme of this February presentation. The winter weather definitely impacted our revenue. And the consolidated basis year to date, you'll remember that January was also impacted by winter weather. We have a year-to-date revenue of $5,781,000, which is below the budgeted of $6,072,000, but just a little bit more than prior year. And EBITDA, combined water and POA year-to-date, is a positive $210,000 compared to $479,000 budgeted. and less than prior year. Looking at just the month of February for water and POA combined, revenue is $2,906,000 compared to budget of $3,084,000. And EBITDA, you'll see that revenue affects right down to the bottom line. EBITDA, $153,000 year-to-date combined compared to budgeted of $274,000. Looking at POA only, as you would expect, this is where you'll see the biggest impact from the winter weather. Month to date, EBITDA came in at a negative $110,000 compared to a $36,000 budget. And for the year to date, $307,000 negative compared to $130,000 negative budget. Looking at revenue for the POA, it came in at $1,934,000 compared to $2,147,000 budgeted, also a little less than prior year. We were closed, as Ruth mentioned, 12 days in February. The golf courses were closed, and many of the open days were extremely cold. So, as you would expect, those areas that would be affected the most by that were golf fees, which is $114,000 worse than budget, pro shop sales $24,000 worse than budget, and F&B revenue $80,000 worse than budget. Couple small bright spots was we received an annual big purchasing card program rebate for $31,000, and we sold some lead from the gun range for $34,000. We did make up some of it in expenses. We were actually better than budget on expenses. We came in at $1,902,000 compared to $1,944,000. Some of the areas worse than budget, however, were employee benefits due to some high medical claims. That I think will probably even out as the year goes. Utilities were $19,000 worse than budget. Professional services, we had a required stump dump testing and easement survey expenses. Salary and wages were better than budget. And as you might expect, supplies, chemicals were better than budget due to the timing and weather, and maintenance and repairs, $59,000 better than budget due to timing and weather. So with all that dismal winter talk, I thought we'd throw some spring in there. Some positive news, the gun range is looking fantastic. Top-notch facility opens April 1st. And Daryl's telling me that the golf rounds are better in March and will finish just short of prior year with the closure of Highlands. That's really good. And all the March club fitting events have been full with 100% close rate. Water had a better month. They came in a night ahead on revenue, $972,000, beating budget in prior year. Water sales was part of that, $19,000 better than budget. New service connections, $7,000 better than budget. Cost of water was only $8,000 worse than budget due to the increased sales. Expenses was just a couple thousand worse than budget. You might remember in January, the meter installation materials were quite a bit worse than budget, and I had mentioned that was due to timing. Well, here in February, they're $76,000 better than budget, making up most of that. Looking at water's EBITDA for the month in February, $262,000 compared to $239,000, and year-to-date, just a little bit under budget at $517,000, sorry, quite a bit more than prior year. Cash position, total cash is $7,275,000. Water's operating cash is $3.7 million. Its reserves is $1,563,000. POA operating cash is $993,000, and the reserves is $981,000. And looking at the one-pagers, so looking at the worse than budget, the ones you would expect to be worse than budget year-to-date with the winter weather in both January and February. Golf pro shops, which includes the greens fees and the retail, $271,000 EBITDA variance to budget negative. Food and beverage missed it by $123,000. General income, 74,000, and that's those medical claims I mentioned. Better than budget. It's no wonder Graham was happy with the snow because golf maintenance came in winning at 134,000, better than budget. Lakes and Parks, 63,000, and maintenance and construction, 53,000, better than budget. The POA EBITDA, that revenue hit right down to the bottom line. We hit gross profit at negative 269,000 variance to budget. But expenses, we did make up some at the 92,000 to bring EBITDA missing budget by 177,000 on the POA. Debt balances, water to, the POA owes water 3.1 million, and we owe the bank 5,871,000. Any questions?
City question, there was something about testing at the stump dump. Is that
Yeah.
just kind of a requirement?
We're gonna be required to
Routinely?
do that for many more years. It's just a requirement by the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality.
But it went well.
There was no concerns. It's just, nobody should be concerned about it. We're gonna have to do this testing for several more years.
Anything else?
You mentioned the lead being sold from the gun range. That was recycled lead that they actually recovered from the ground spent ammunition, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a lot of lead, yeah, a lot of money for. All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Beth.
I think the last time we did the lead reclamation was 16, so it's been several years.
Okay. Open forum is next. Nobody here, no emails. Okay. On to policies under review.
So we talked about this at the work session and at the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting. We have policy 1.01, which is about communication and how to make sure that property owners are able to communicate with the board, with management, and just get general information. If we go through this at a quick pace, just remind everybody to go see the work session where we cover much more detail. And we strive to, going back to 1.01, we strive to respond to all property owners in a timely manner. But if we don't, members are always encouraged to attend the next board meeting and ask their questions here at the board meeting. With this change, it would be the first of 2 required readings. Any questions on 1.01?
Make a motion for 1.01.
I'll make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 1.01, member access to association information. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Jerry. We've talked about this. Is there anything else we discussed at this moment? Sorry, microphone's not on. I turned it off. All in favor? Thank you, 9-0.
Policy 1.04 has to do with the joint advisory committees. Once again, we went over this extensively at the work session and the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting. In your packet, if you're viewing this from home, I encourage you to look at the clean version because the red line version has so many changes back and forth that you can get lost in it a little bit. But most of the changes, I've highlighted them in yellow. If this gets approved, then we would remove the yellow. But it's trying to establish a standardization on how volunteers that are interested in serving on joint advisory committees, how to select them in an orderly manner, because we previously have not given the committees any guidance, and some do it great and some do it not as great. And so this gives some standardization. With these changes, we consulted with the committee chairs to get their input. One thing actually Ruth brought up, Ruth Hatcher who's the chair of the golf committee, brought up the point about this is a lot of these questions that we're asking, these are for prospective or potentially new committee members. If someone is going for a re-up, they would not have to fill out these questions. And so, you know, you see the first word is perspective. So once again, this would be the first of 2 required readings. Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead,
No questions. I think this is really well done. I think I said this last week, but the consistency is really important to our membership. If you're interested in volunteering, knowing what to expect regardless of which JAC, I think that's important. And I think the guidance that it gives to the chairs is very important, because depending on their background and what their experience level is, when I was chair of rec and it was time to fill an opening, the answer to my question was, you're the chair, how do you want to do it? So I think this is very important and very helpful.
Thank you, Deborah. Can we get a motion on policy 1.04?
I move to approve the suggested policies, changes to policy 1.04, joint advisory committee. This is the first reading of the 2 required readings.
Thank you, Jeff.
I second.
Thank you, Deborah. Any further communication or comments or anything on that? All right, all in favor? 9-0, thank you. That brings us to the end already. Was there anything else, David, did you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I had, we've made no secret about the fact that this is the year, 3 years since an assessment increase, and we would be looking at it. I would like either Daryl or Tom to fill in the audience as to where we are in the process, you know, because we've been going at it for a while, where we are and what they can expect to see from us, because it's a topic on social media, and so they got a right to know. So just one of you, just fill us in, let us know where we're at.
Absolutely. Tom, you want to take it?
Yeah, so, you know, in November at the community budget presentation, we opened, you know, the board openly talked about going for an assessment increase vote this year. It's in the budget and so forth. So the board's been very transparent about that. I anticipate the board will discuss this topic in more detail in April. They have had conversations already about a timeline. And so while it hasn't yet been voted upon by the board, and I anticipate that vote will take place in April, if we stick to the current timeline that the board has talked about, the vote would potentially commence in June. So, you know, nothing formal until the April work session and regular meeting, but in an effort to be fully transparent with our membership, as we have been since we started talking about it all the way back in November, is that's heading our way. And so the membership will get more information in April, so I ask for their patience, because the next question always is, well, how much? I ask you to wait until April, and that will become more transparent at that time.
Well, got to have something to talk about on social media, you know.
Well, we've talked about, you know, in 2023, we want to have more regular increases that are small and reasonable, and I think that we are going to fulfill that pledge.
That the conversations that we've had so far would certainly indicate that, but as you say, we haven't voted on it yet.
Right.
We've got one more meeting, and I think the membership will expect to hear something in April. So
Yep.
they can
Absolutely.
wait with bated breath.
Thanks, David. Anybody have anything else? No? All right. Gonna miss a couple innings, but we're trying to get out of here soon. Announcements, Lakes JAC's meeting, next meeting is April 19th. We finally make it to the month of April. I thought we were already there. At 2 p.m. at the boardroom, here in the boardroom, or live stream. Golf JAC follows that on April 9th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. The board of directors GM meeting is April 10th at 2:30. That is a closed meeting. Recreation JAC is Monday, April 14th at 4 p.m. boardroom and live stream. Board candidate election begins. Some of us are interested in that, aren't we, Jerry? Monday, April 14th. Ballots and proxies will be sent out via mail and email to members in good standing. The next work session for the board is April 17th at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. And the next board regular session is Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. And I think that covers it. Anything else? All right, meeting adjourned.